My dear fellow Tibetans, dear Tibet supporters, today I want to share something with you. This summer I was in India, and do you know who I met in Dharamsala? I met Kushop Bandeng Gyatso. Kushop Bandeng Gyatso spent 33 years in Chinese prison. All these years, Chinese government could not break his will to resist Chinese leadership. Although he got tortured so many times, still he has not forgotten how to love. His life story is inspiring and empowering young people like me to raise our voices against the illegal occupation of Tibet. Kushop Bandeng Gyatso got arrested in a time when the Chinese government wanted to liberate the Tibetan people. Yes, it is right. The Tibetan political system was not perfect at all. But still, this fact does never ever justify the illegal invasion and occupation by the Chinese military. The result of this so-called liberation is that thousands upon thousands innocent Tibetans got not only arrested but tortured and forced to re-education through labor. Even our sacred monasteries were not spared from destruction. The holy stages got defiled. Precious gold and silver got stolen or was brought to China. These days, still, natural resources like copper and coal get systematically mined by the Chinese. Who is the profiteer of all these acts? No one else but the Chinese regime. Has this so-called liberation improved the human rights situation for the Tibetans inside Tibet? No. The human rights situation is worse than ever before. More than 120 Tibetans have self-immolated for freedom in Tibet. What encourages us and gives hope to us are actions like this latest incident in Tibet. In Diru, Tibetans were forced to raise the red flag on their roofs. These Tibetans who have grown up under Chinese leadership, what did they do? Yes, they bravely resisted this Chinese order and did not hoist the red flag. This clearly shows that our brothers and sisters in Tibet don't want to live under Chinese rule. Just 2 weeks ago, the Spanish National Court accepted the competence to handle a lawsuit brought by Tibetans. They allege that the former president of China, Hu Jintao, committed genocide in Tibet. Another encouraging example is the UN lobby group. As the Universal Periodic Review of the Chinese human rights situation is taking place right now, this lobby group is inside the UN buildings and is actively lobbying the ambassadors inside the UN buildings. And last but not least, this morning, right here, behind this gate, Tibet activists unfurled a huge banner which urges the UN to stand up for Tibet. All these actions are giving us hope. Hope that Tibet one day will be free. Today, my biggest wish is that the United Nations are not only expressing their concern about the human rights situation in Tibet once more, but after this year's Universal Periodic Review, concrete actions are following by the UN. In the meantime, we mustn't give up and keep up the struggle for an immediate improvement of the human rights situation inside Tibet. Pegalo! And now, as I'm already standing on the stage, I'd like to thank the organizers of the Peace March from St. Gallen to Geneva and also all the participants who took part in this march. And
Sambalaya pena, but so to pege. Sambalaya pena.